Jake Morrison wiped the sweat from his forehead as he watched the massive asteroid slowly rotate outside the viewport. The rock was bigger than a city block and filled with precious metals that would keep Earth's factories running for months. His ship, the Titan's Edge, had been mining in the asteroid belt for 3 weeks now, and they were almost ready to head home. "Another good haul today, Captain," said Bobby Turner, the ship's engineer. He was a short man with grease-stained hands who could fix anything that broke on their old mining vessel. "The extraction lasers pulled out enough platinum to buy us all new ships." Jake smiled and nodded. The crew had been working hard, and they deserved the bonus money they would earn from this trip. The Titan's Edge wasn't the newest or fastest ship, but it was reliable, and Jake trusted his small crew with his life. Lisa Parker sat at her communication station, monitoring radio signals from Earth and other ships in the area. She was young, maybe 25, with bright eyes that missed nothing. As the ship's communications officer, she kept them connected to the outside world during their long trips into deep space. "Captain, I'm picking up something strange," Lisa said, her voice cutting through the quiet hum of the ship's engines. She pressed her headphones closer to her ears and frowned at her screen. "It's not coming from any Earth station or known ship." Jake walked over to her station. "What kind of signal?" "It's different. Listen to this." Lisa played the audio through the ship's speakers. A series of beeps and tones filled the bridge, but they weren't random. There was a pattern, a rhythm that seemed almost like music, but sadder somehow. Dr. Amy Watson, their medical officer, looked up from her research tablet. She was older than the rest of them, with gray hair and kind eyes. "That sounds like it's trying to communicate something." Bobby stopped what he was doing and listened carefully. "Those patterns, they repeat every 30 seconds. That's not natural. Someone's making that signal." Jake felt his heart beat faster. In all his years in space, he had never heard anything like this. "Lisa, where's it coming from?" Lisa's fingers flew over her, controls, running calculations and checking star charts. "It's coming from outside our solar system, Captain. Way outside. The signal is traveling at light speed, which means..." She paused and double-checked her numbers. "It's coming from a star system 47 light-years away." The bridge fell silent, except for the steady beep of the alien signal. Jake stared at the speakers as if he could see through them to whatever was sending the message. This was it. This was first contact with alien life. After decades of searching and listening, humans had finally found proof they weren't alone in the universe. "We need to contact Earth immediately," Dr. Watson said. "This is the most important discovery in human history." Jake nodded, but something in Lisa's expression made him pause. "What is it, Lisa? What aren't you telling us?" "The signal is getting weaker, Captain. When I first detected it an hour ago, it was much stronger. If it keeps fading at this rate," she ran more calculations, "the transmission will stop completely in maybe 2 or 3 days." Bobby scratched his beard. "Could be their equipment breaking down. Or they could be dying," Dr. Watson said quietly. "If this is a distress signal, whoever sent it might not have much time left." Jake looked at his crew. These were good people, the kind who would risk their lives to help a stranger. They had all volunteered for the dangerous work of deep space mining because they wanted to push humanity's boundaries and explore the unknown. "How long would it take Earth to organize a response?" Jake asked. Lisa shook her head. "Months, maybe. Years. First they'd have to verify the signal, then form committees, then plan a mission. By the time Earth's government decides what to do, the signal will be long gone." "What about getting closer to the source?" Bobby asked. "Our jump drive is experimental, but it works. We could modify it for a longer trip." Dr. Watson looked shocked. "You're talking about traveling to another star system. That's never been done before. We don't even know if our life support systems could handle such a long journey." Jake walked to the viewport and stared out at the stars. Somewhere out there, 47 light-years away, someone was calling for help. Earth's politicians and scientists would debate and argue while whoever sent that signal died, waiting for an answer that would never come. "Lisa, can you tell anything else about the signal?" he asked. "I've been running it through our computers. The mathematical patterns suggest high intelligence. They're using prime numbers and geometric sequences that show they understand advanced concepts. But Captain, her voice grew sad. There's something else. The signal changes every few hours, like they're trying different approaches. They sound desperate. Jake made his decision. He turned to face his crew. I won't order anyone to do this. It's dangerous, probably illegal, and we might not survive. But I think we should go help whoever's sending that signal. Bobby grinned. I've always wanted to see what's beyond our solar system. Dr. Watson nodded slowly. If someone needs medical help, I took an oath to provide it, no matter how far I have to travel. Lisa smiled. Count me in, Captain. Besides, someone has to talk to them when we get there. Jake felt proud of his crew. They were about to attempt something that had never been done before, traveling farther from Earth than any human in history. They would be alone in the darkness between stars with only each other and their determination to guide them. All right then, Jake said. Bobby, start modifying the jump drive. Lisa, keep monitoring that signal and try to learn everything you can about it. Dr. Watson, make sure our medical supplies are ready for anything. We're going to answer that call for help. The crew scattered to their tasks, and Jake remained, at the viewport watching the stars. Soon they would be traveling among them, carrying humanity's first message to another species. The message was simple, but powerful. You are not alone, and help is coming. Bobby Turner crawled through the tight maintenance tunnel that led to the ship's engine room. His tool belt clanked against the metal walls as he squeezed through spaces that were never meant for human bodies. The Titan's Edge was a mining ship, built for short trips within the solar system, not for the impossible journey they were about to attempt. Hand me that plasma coupling, Bobby called to his assistant, a young technician named Chris, who had volunteered to help with the modifications. They had been working for 18 hours straight, rewiring systems and pushing the ship's technology beyond its design limits. The jump drive sat in the center of the engine room like a giant metal heart. It was experimental technology, installed just 6 months ago for short hops between asteroids. Now Bobby was trying to make it carry them across 47 light-years of empty space. Are you sure this will work? Chris asked, wiping sweat from his face. Bobby paused in his work and looked at the maze of cables and power conduits he had created. Honestly, I have no idea. But if we don't try, whoever's sending that signal will die waiting for help that never comes. On the bridge, Lisa Parker sat at her station with headphones covering her ears, listening to the alien transmission over and over again. She had been analyzing the signal for 2 days now, breaking it down into mathematical patterns and trying to understand what the aliens were trying to say. Captain, I think I'm starting to understand parts of the message, Lisa said as Jake approached her station. Dark circles under her eyes showed she hadn't slept much. What have you learned? Jake asked. Lisa pulled up a display showing the signal broken into segments. They're using mathematics to communicate basic concepts. See these patterns? They show counting systems, geometric shapes, even what looks like chemical formulas. But there's something else. She highlighted a section of the transmission that repeated frequently. This part is different. It's not mathematical. It sounds more like they're in pain. Dr. Watson joined them at the communication station. She had been studying the medical supplies and preparing for unknown alien biology. Can you play that section again? Lisa replayed the audio. The sound was haunting, a series of tones that rose and fell like someone crying out in distress. Even though it came from an alien species, the emotion was unmistakable. They're suffering, Dr. Watson said quietly. Whatever's happening to them, it's causing pain. Jake felt the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. They were racing across the galaxy to help someone they had never met, someone who might not even survive until they arrived. Captain, Bobby's voice came through the ship's communication system. I need to talk to you about the jump drive modifications. Jake made his way to the engine room, where Bobby was covered in grease and surrounded by spare parts. The engineer's usual cheerful expression was replaced by worry. The good news is I think I can make the jump drive work for an interstellar trip, Bobby said. The bad news is it's going to drain almost all our power. Once we jump, we'll have maybe 3 weeks of life support and basic systems. After that, After that, we'll be floating dead in space, Jake finished. Bobby nodded. And there's another problem. I've been monitoring Earth's communication channels. The military knows we're gone. Jake's heart sank. They had hoped to complete their mission before anyone noticed the Titan's edge was missing. What are they saying? Commander Pete Sullivan is leading a pursuit mission on the military cruiser New Horizon. They launched 6 hours ago and they're trying to intercept us before we make the jump. Jake thought quickly. The New Horizon was faster and better armed than their mining ship, but it would take time for the military vessel to reach their position. How long do we have? Maybe 4 hours before they arrive, Bobby said. But Captain, if we leave now, we'll be jumping into the unknown with no backup, no support, and barely enough power to get there. Jake looked around the engine room at all the modifications Bobby had made. Cables ran everywhere, connecting systems that were never meant to work together. It was brilliant engineering, but it was also dangerous and untested. Lisa's analysis shows the alien signal is getting weaker, Jake said. Every hour we wait, we lose more of their transmission. If we wait for the military to catch up and debate what to do, those aliens will be dead. Bobby wiped his hands on a dirty rag and nodded. Then we better get going. Give me 2 more hours to finish the power coupling modifications. Jake returned to the bridge, where Lisa was still working on the alien signal. Any luck understanding more of their message? Actually, yes, Lisa said, excitement breaking through her exhaustion. I think I've figured out what they're trying to tell us. The mathematical sections aren't just communication attempts. They're describing something specific. She brought up a new display showing molecular structures. These chemical formulas they keep transmitting, they look like biological compounds. Proteins, DNA sequences, viral structures. Dr. Watson leaned forward to study the display. Are they trying to share their biology with us? Or maybe they're describing what's killing them, Lisa said. Look at this sequence that appears in the distress sections. The display showed a complex molecular structure that seemed to change and mutate as they watched. Dr. Watson's face grew pale as she recognized what she was seeing. That's a virus, she said. An extremely aggressive one, if I'm reading this correctly. It attacks the genetic structure of living cells and rewrites them. Jake felt cold understanding wash over him. They're not just calling for help. They're trying to warn us about a plague. The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. They were racing toward a dying world infected by a virus that could destroy all biological life, but they were also the only hope those aliens had. Captain, Bobby's voice came through the speakers. Jump drive is ready. We can leave any time. Jake looked at his crew. They had signed up for a rescue mission, but now they knew they were heading into a biological nightmare that could kill them all. Still, none of them looked ready to back down. Set course for the alien signal, Jake ordered. All hands, prepare for jump. The Titan's edge turned toward the stars and prepared to make humanity's first journey to another world. The Titan's edge dropped out of hyperspace with a shudder that ran through every deck of the ship. Jake Morrison gripped his captain's chair as the engines whined and sparked. Warning lights flashed across the bridge, and the smell of burning electronics filled the air. Bobby, report, Jake called into his communicator. Jump drive is fried, Captain. Bobby's voice crackled back through static. We made it, but we're not going home the same way we came. I'll need weeks to rebuild the system, and that's if we can find the right parts. Jake looked out the main viewport and felt his breath catch in his throat. Before them hung a beautiful blue and green world, covered in swirling white clouds. It looked almost like Earth, but the continents were different, and there were vast areas of bright coral color visible even from space. Lisa, are you picking up the signal? Jake asked. Lisa worked frantically at her communication station, adjusting frequencies and boosting power to their receivers. It's much stronger now, Captain. The source is definitely on the planet below, but... She paused, listening carefully to her headphones. The signal is different now, weaker in some ways but more urgent. Dr. Watson studied the readings from their sensors. The planet's atmosphere is breathable for humans, but there's something wrong with the biological readings. I'm detecting massive die-offs of plant and animal life across the entire surface. Jake felt sick as he realized what they were seeing. This beautiful world was dying, just as Lisa had predicted from analyzing the alien transmissions. They had traveled farther than any human in history, only to arrive at a planet in its death throes. "Captain, I'm getting a response to our communications," Lisa said suddenly. "Someone down there is answering our signals." "Put it through the speakers," Jake ordered. A new sound filled the bridge, completely different from the mathematical signals they had been receiving for weeks. This was clearly a voice speaking in a language that flowed like water, with rising and falling tones that reminded Jake of whale songs from Earth's oceans. I think they're trying to communicate with us directly," Lisa said, her fingers flying over her translation programs. "The computer is having trouble with the language, but some of the mathematical concepts are coming through." After several minutes of back-and-forth communication, Lisa looked up with tears in her eyes. "Captain, they're welcoming us. They say they never expected anyone to actually come. They thought they would die alone." Jake felt a mixture of pride and sadness. His crew had made the impossible journey, but they might have arrived too late to help. "Can you ask them about landing coordinates?" Lisa worked with the alien voice for several more minutes, using simple mathematical concepts and basic pictures transmitted through their computers. Finally, she had enough information to guide their ship to the planet's surface. The Titan's edge descended through the alien atmosphere, and Jake got his first close look at the dying world below. What had appeared beautiful from space revealed itself as a tragedy up close. Vast cities made of living coral stretched along the coastlines, but most of the organic buildings were gray and crumbling. The oceans, which should have been full of life, were murky and filled with floating debris. They landed near what had once been a magnificent city. The buildings were grown rather than built, shaped from living materials that curved and flowed like underwater gardens. But now most of the structures were dead. Their once bright colors faded to dull browns and grays. "Life support readings show we can breathe outside," Dr. Watson reported. "But I'm detecting biological contamination in the air. Whatever killed. This world is still active." Jake made the decision that would define humanity's first contact with alien life. "We came here to help. We're going outside." The crew put on light protective suits and stepped onto the surface of an alien world. The air smelled of decay and salt water, like a beach after a storm. In the distance, Jake could see movement near one of the larger coral buildings. "That must be our contact," Lisa said, checking her portable communicator. They walked carefully through the alien city, stepping over fallen pieces of what had once been living architecture. The silence was overwhelming. This had clearly been a place of millions of beings, but now it felt empty and haunted. Near the central building, they met their first alien face-to-face. The creature was unlike anything Jake had imagined. It stood, about 7 feet tall, but moved with fluid grace, its body covered in what looked like smooth, wet skin that changed colors slowly from blue to green. It had large eyes that seemed to hold deep intelligence and sadness. The alien approached them carefully, carrying a device that began speaking in broken but understandable English. "Welcome, visitors from far stars. I am keeper of last knowledge. My name is hard for your sounds. Call me Reef." Jake stepped forward and removed his helmet, showing his face to demonstrate trust. "I'm Captain Jake Morrison. We received your distress signal and came to help." Reef's large eyes widened with what might have been surprise. "You breathe our air without protection machines. This is not possible. The death sickness kills all biological life." Dr. Watson moved closer, her medical scanner active. "We're from a planet called Earth. Our species might be more resistant to biological threats than yours." "Earth," Reef repeated the word carefully. "Your world must be very dangerous place to make people like you." Jake looked around at the dying city and felt the weight of an entire civilization's hope settling on his shoulders. "Tell us about the sickness. Maybe we can help." Reef's skin shifted to darker colors, showing what Jake was beginning to recognize as sadness. "The hunters came from silicon worlds. They hate all wet life. They made virus weapon. It rewrites living code of all things that grow and breathe. Silicon-based life forms, Dr. Watson whispered. They would see biological life as completely alien, maybe even threatening. My people are peaceful swimmers. We grow cities from living coral. We make tools from shaped biology. We never learned to fight with weapons. The hunters came with metal ships and death virus. Now only few hundred of us remain. Jake felt anger building in his chest. An entire peaceful civilization had been nearly wiped out by creatures who saw biological life as something to be destroyed. It was genocide on a planetary scale. Where are these hunters now? Jake asked. Reef's colors shifted to what might have been fear. They return soon to finish their work. They want to clean this world of all wet life. Then they will make it suitable for their kind. Jake looked at his small crew standing in the ruins of an alien civilization. They were 4 humans with a broken mining ship, facing an enemy that had the technology to destroy entire worlds. But they had made a promise to help, and Jake Morrison was not the kind of man who broke his word. When will they return? He asked. Soon, Reef replied. Very soon. Dr. Amy Watson knelt beside a dying alien child in what had once been a medical center. The small being's skin had lost its natural color-changing ability and was now a sickly gray. Its breathing was shallow and painful, and Watson could see the virus was destroying its body from the inside. Can you help, small one? Reef asked, his own colors shifting to deep blue with worry. Many younglings suffer like this one. Watson ran her medical scanner over the child, studying the readings with growing amazement. This virus is unlike anything I've ever seen. It's rewriting the genetic code of every cell in the body. She looked up at Reef. How long has this child been sick? 3 of your day periods, Reef replied. Most die after 5-day periods. Watson made a decision that would change everything. She took off her protective gloves and gently touched the alien child's skin. Reef made a sound of alarm and backed away. Doctor, what are you doing? Jake's voice came through her communicator. That virus could kill you. I don't think it will, Watson said calmly. She had been studying the virus samples since they arrived, and her theory was becoming stronger every hour. Jake, I need you and the others to come to the medical center. Bring blood sample kits. 20 minutes later, the entire crew stood in the alien medical facility. More dying aliens lay on beds made of shaped coral, their families keeping vigil beside them. The sadness in the room was overwhelming. I've been analyzing the virus that's killing these people, Watson began. It's designed specifically to attack biological life forms, but there's something important you need to understand. The virus can't affect us. Bobby scratched his head. What do you mean, can't affect us? Watson pulled up her research on a portable screen. This virus was created by silicon-based life forms who don't understand biological immunity. They made it to kill peaceful species like Reef's people, but they never encountered anything like humans. I still don't understand, Lisa said. Watson smiled for the first time since they had arrived on the dying planet. Earth is what galactic civilizations would call a death world. Our planet is so hostile, so filled with diseases and toxins and radiation, that we evolved immune systems that can handle almost anything. She gestured to the dying aliens around them. These people come from a peaceful world with clean air and water. Their bodies never learned to fight off serious diseases, but humans have been battling plagues and viruses for millions of years. Jake was beginning to understand. You're saying we're immune to their weapon? Not just immune, Watson said excitedly. Our blood contains antibodies that can neutralize the virus completely. I've been testing it for hours. Human blood can cure this plague. Reef's skin color shifted rapidly through patterns of confusion and hope. Your blood can heal the death sickness? Yes, Watson said. But we need to work fast. I can synthesize a cure using our blood as a base, but I'll need time and equipment. That's when Lisa's communicator started beeping with an urgent signal. Captain, I'm picking up massive energy signatures approaching the planet. Multiple ships moving fast. Jake felt his stomach drop. The hunters? Has to be, Lisa confirmed. They'll be here in less than 6 hours. Reef's colors went almost black with fear. They come to finish what they started, to clean away all wet life from this world. Jake looked around the medical center at the dying aliens, then at his small crew. They were 4 humans with a broken mining ship, facing an invasion fleet with the power to destroy planets. But they had discovered something the enemy didn't know about. Humans were living weapons against biological warfare. "Doctor, how long do you need to make enough cure for everyone?" Jake asked. Watson was already working, drawing blood from her own arm. "If I can use the alien medical equipment here, maybe 4 hours for the first batch. But Jake, we need more blood than the 4 of us can provide." "We'll figure that out," Jake said. "Bobby, what's the status of our ship?" Bobby had been working on repairs since they landed. "The jump drive is completely dead, but I can get the weapon systems online. Not that our mining lasers will do much against a war fleet." "Maybe they don't have to," Jake said, an idea forming in his mind. "Lisa, can you communicate with other human ships?" Lisa checked her equipment. "I can send a signal, but it would take years to reach Earth at light speed." "What about the New Horizon, Commander Sullivan's ship that was chasing us?" Lisa's eyes widened as she understood. "They might have followed our jump trail. If they did, they could be close enough to receive a faster-than-light communication." "Send a message," Jake ordered. "Tell them what we've found. Tell them we've discovered a cure for biological warfare, but we need backup." As Lisa worked to send their desperate message, Watson continued creating the cure with Reef's help. The alien medical technology was amazing, growing medicines from living cultures instead of manufacturing them chemically. "First batch is ready," Watson announced. She had created a clear liquid that glowed with soft blue light. "Reef, will you trust us enough to try it?" Reef looked at the dying child, then at the human doctor who was offering hope. Without hesitation, he took the medicine and gently gave it to the small alien. The effect was immediate and miraculous. The child's gray skin began to show hints of natural color. Its breathing became easier, and for the first time in days, it opened its large eyes and looked around with curiosity instead of pain. "By the deep currents," Reef whispered, his colors shifting through every bright hue he could produce. "It works. The death sickness, it retreats." Watson smiled and began preparing more doses. "We can save your people, Reef, but we need to work together." Outside, the sky began to darken as alien ships approached the planet. But inside the medical center, hope was being reborn, one cure at a time. The Deathworlders had arrived, and they brought with them the one thing the hunters had never expected to face, the power to turn their own weapon against them. Jake stood at the window, watching enemy ships enter the atmosphere. "They think they're coming to finish off a defenseless planet. They have no idea they're about to meet the galaxy's toughest species." The battle for the future of biological life was about to begin, and humanity was ready to fight. The hunter ships descended from the sky like metal storms. Jake Morrison counted 12 massive vessels, each one 10 times larger than the Titan's edge. Their hulls were made of dark metal that seemed to absorb light, and they moved with the cold precision of machines built only for destruction. "Captain, I'm getting a response to our distress call," Lisa Parker announced from her communication station. "The New Horizon just dropped out of hyperspace. Commander Sullivan is requesting immediate contact." Jake felt a surge of hope. "Put him through." Commander Pete Sullivan's voice crackled over the radio. "Jake Morrison, you're under arrest for unauthorized use of military technology and violation of about 50 different space regulations. But first, what the hell is going on down there?" "Pete, we found aliens and they're dying from a biological weapon," Jake said quickly. "We also found the cure, but we're about to be attacked by the species that created the plague." "Biological weapon?" Sullivan's voice became serious. Military commanders understood the threat of warfare better than anyone. "What kind of cure?" Dr. Watson took the communicator. Commander, human blood neutralizes the alien virus completely. Our immune systems can fight off diseases that kill entire civilizations. We're naturally resistant to biological warfare. Through the viewport, Jake watched the hunter ships form attack formations above the planet. They were clearly preparing to finish what they had started, to wipe out the last survivors of the alien race. Sullivan, we need backup, Jake said. These hunters have been committing genocide across the galaxy, and we're the only ones who can stop them. My ship wasn't designed for planetary combat, Sullivan replied. But if what you're saying is true, we can't let them continue. That's when the hunter ships began their final attack. Beams of energy lanced down from space, striking the remaining alien cities. But these weren't normal weapons. They were spraying. More of the biological virus trying to kill any survivors who might have escaped the initial plague. Reef and the other healthy aliens who had been cured by Watson's medicine gathered around Jake's crew. The hunters speak to us, Reef said, his skin showing colors of anger that Jake had never seen before. They say all wet life must die clean. They offer no mercy. Bobby Turner had been working frantically to get their ship's weapons online. Captain, I've got the mining lasers ready, but they're not going to do much against ships that big. We don't need to destroy them, Jake said, understanding finally dawning. We need to get close enough to board them. Dr. Watson looked shocked. Board them? Jake, that's suicide. No, it's not, Jake replied. Think about it. These hunters are silicon-based life forms. They've never encountered anything like humans. They don't know we can survive in environments that would kill other biological species. Lisa was monitoring the hunter communications. Captain, they're talking about landing ground forces to hunt down the remaining aliens. They want to make sure every biological life form on this planet is dead. Jake made his decision. Sullivan, can your ship handle those hunter vessels in space? Maybe half of them, Sullivan replied. But that still leaves 6 ships full of ground troops. That's all we need, Jake said. Reef, can your people who've been cured help us fight? Reef's colors shifted to patterns that somehow reminded Jake of determination. We have been peaceful swimmers for 1,000 generations, but the hunters killed our children, our elders, our future. Yes, we will fight. The battle began when the New Horizon engaged the hunter fleet in space. Sullivan's military cruiser was outnumbered, but human tactical creativity and aggressive fighting spirit gave them advantages the hunters hadn't expected. Meanwhile, 6 hunter ships landed near the alien cities, disgorging troops that looked like walking machines made of living crystal. Jake led his crew and a group of cured aliens in a desperate assault on the nearest hunter ship. The enemy soldiers were impressive, 8 feet tall with bodies that could reshape themselves like liquid metal. But they had one critical weakness. They had never fought opponents who could survive the biological weapons they relied on. Their weapons are designed to kill with disease and poison, Watson shouted as they fought their way into the hunter ship. But we're immune to biological attacks. The hunters were confused and alarmed when their virus weapons had no effect on the humans. They had built their entire military strategy around biological warfare, never expecting to meet a species that thrived on toxins and disease. Bobby used his engineering skills to hack into the hunter ship's systems. Jake, I'm in their computer network. These things have been wiping out biological civilizations across dozens of star systems. Can you stop them? Jake asked, fighting off 2 hunter soldiers with weapons that would have killed any other species. Instantly. Better than that, Bobby replied. I can turn their own biological weapons against them. Their ships are full of viruses designed to kill organic life, but I can modify them to attack silicon-based systems instead. The tide of battle turned when the humans began using the hunters' own weapons against them. The aliens who had been saved by human medicine fought with desperate courage, no longer helpless victims but warriors defending their world. Within hours, the hunter invasion force was defeated. Those who survived fled in their remaining ships, but not before Bobby had infected their computer systems with modified viruses that would spread to other hunter fleets. As the smoke cleared, Jake stood with Reef among the ruins of the alien city. But now there was hope where before there had been only death. The cured aliens were already beginning to rebuild, using their amazing biotechnology to grow new structures from living coral. "Your people are strange and wonderful," Reef said, his colors bright with gratitude. "You come from Deathworld, but you bring life to others." Lisa's communicator buzzed with incoming messages. "Captain, I'm receiving signals from across the galaxy. Other biological civilizations are asking for help. Word is spreading about the humans who can cure the hunter's plagues." Jake looked up at the stars, knowing that humanity's role in the galaxy had changed forever. They were no longer an isolated species on a single world. They had become the protectors of biological life everywhere. The Deathworlders who could survive anything the universe threw at them. "Set course for home," Jake told his crew. "We have a lot of work to do." The age of human expansion into the galaxy had begun, not through conquest, but through the simple act of helping those in need.